This conversation took place after Athena SWARUU showed Robert and I a video in Spanish in which a case was discussed where a man was walking up the staircase in the flat building he lived, only to see himself opening the door to his apartment and entering, looking exactly the same. The man got scared and left the building, spending that night with his friend. Originally in Spanish, June 2023.
The video we showed you is more about mirrors. We are not the only ones talking about it. They don't explain why it is, but the phenomenon exists. We didn't invent it.
But what would have happened if that man entered his house? Would he have met the other one?
Yes, it happens, but it seems to be different every time.
I mean, could the two of them have a conversation?
Yes, but it depends on how they are generated. For example, if they are the result of a spaceship trip, yes, it happens. But naturally, it seems that there are energies at work that are not yet fully known, and it varies with each example.
And does this also happen outside the Earth? I don't mean ships.
Yes, just that it is more marked or easier to find when one place is very isolated from the other.
Why is it easier?
I don't really know. Like everything is very connected, as if everything was one existential realm. I mean, 3D, for example. And everything gets equalized, or kind of assigns values, I mean faces, for example.
Yes, as if there was a limit to the number of types of noses and ears, and eventually of faces. There are already all the possible combinations, and that's when the doubles come out.
Or copies are created. Not even the star races really know what is going on. It is more known what happens by timelines travel by a starship. But when it happens naturally, there are many things that are still not explained. And can't it be that the person simply moved to another timeline by some spontaneous natural portal? Yes, that is a plausible explanation.
It could be that. Someone who slips through a portal without realizing it.
Yes, because there are portals everywhere. However, that doesn't explain why it happens to some people and not to others, being in the same house, for example.
Is it because they are matrix people?
It would be interesting to investigate exactly who they are and whether or not they are matrix.
We do not know what happens within and to a person at the level of the soul. The same thing why one in the same family travels a lot, another one doesn't.
Yes, it seems to be something that souls manifest, like repeating themselves. They self-manifest or copy themselves.
Why does that happen?
I do not have all the explanation. It is not known. It is a very mysterious phenomenon. However, it is not so uncommon. It happens quite often.
What about people transforming into animals and vice versa?
Now was another complex phenomenon without much explanation. I relate it to incarnations merging at the same moment in space-time.
Yes, but there seems to be a big trend on Earth with the topic of doubles.
Yes, it's like various realms and various timelines coming together and creating that. In fact, we all have them, but we don't see them because they are in the mirror reality or in another density. Except when those realities suddenly intersect for some reason. And there are also people who just look like all of us. That's not to be dismissed. It's not an excuse. But besides simple resemblance, something much more profound and annoying happens. And not only people, but also situations and objects get mirrored. I mean, in an autonomous way, natural, without technological intervention. A street or city blocks, a whole ship.
And what consequence could it have for the affected person? Only as an anecdote?
It is different every time.
And mirrors, is that a copy of the soul or is that more complex?
If they are natural, they emanate or are manifested from the soul itself. The soul may be in more. But it is strange. There is a time lag there.
In the example of this video, there could be a time lag. It was the same guy entering the house only a few seconds earlier, and for some reason, he saw himself.
As Kanta says in the video, it would be something I would also call bilocation. But in that example, it seems more like he went through a portal or got off a ship, because they are both interacting with awareness of each other's existence. But now we have an additional problem. And I don't think Mari mentioned it in her videos. The pictures and the objects and the situations. When mirroring happens, that is, the same person 2 or more times, the events of their lives tend to repeat themselves, sometimes as they are, sometimes with a slight unimportant change. In other words, it is not only the person who looks the way he or she does, but the events surrounding the person and everything related to them are being repeated. This is important because it is not just the same physical person. And this can be seen more clearly when it involves photographs, because a photograph is a picture stopped in time of an event or occurrence in the life of a person or people. So it's a testimony of something that happened. The same with videos, but there are not so many examples, nor have I seen them, although I know they exist. As for photographs, yes, it is common. So both mirrors or doppelgangers, as the case may be, remember that event or have photographs of that same event. And commonly, those photographs are exactly the same. However, the circumstances and the chains of events that led to that photograph change, and change a lot. In other words, what brought those people to the place where the photo was taken may be due to very different things, but always related to the person in question.
What a mess.
Yes, it is a tremendous mess.
So the photos appear out of nowhere, you mean?
No, what happens is that each mirror, one or the other, will have its photo with the particular story of how they have it. But they are different stories, even though the photo happens to be exactly the same. And the phenomenon of photographs goes commonly with that of mirrors. That is to say that when two meet, they will have the same photographs, but taken in different contexts. It goes hand in hand, always or almost always.
Photographs, coins, etc. Okay.
Yes, any record of where they were.
And does this mirror phenomenon have anything to do with the unconscious or the lunar matrix?
No, it doesn't seem to have anything to do with it. It could be that it is conducive to it, but since it happens outside of Earth as well, it seems to be unrelated. It's more common on Earth, though.
And so, do we have to worry about it?
No need to worry, especially because there is nothing to do about it. But for us, they are a problem sometimes. It is assumed that we are not here because there might be a mirror of us down there. Everybody has them. They just haven't all been found. These are metaphysical things that no one understands yet.
So are you saying that human science does not understand this phenomenon? What does human science understand about doubles?
They don't even recognize that it exists.
But we see the influence that the spiritual world has on us everywhere. How can scientists still not see it? And it is a phenomenon that should be studied in depth, since it's interacting in our world and with all of our senses.
Because they always end up looking for other, more credible explanations to their standards. And many times they are right, but not always, and that's the problem. There are also people who look alike. They are not mirrors. There's that too. Not everything is a mirror.
And does this usually happen to solitary people? Does it have anything to do with being alone or living alone?
I don't relate it, do you?
Maybe that creates the need to create something, like self-pregnancies, like the solitary person creating a tulpa-like alter ego.
Yeah, there must be something to that, like for companionship?
Yeah, something like that. But could it be like a tulpa, created by the person himself in an unconscious way?
Yes, they are definitely tulpas. However, we often can't tell who the original is.
I say this because the workers talked to him and he didn't respond. Things like that. They were looking for him and he seemed to have evaporated. It's like a remnant or another timeline that merged.
Yeah, it's kind of half in reality, but not entirely. Or it is just like an echo or a bad copy that is not quite in this reality. For example, you see him, you talk to him, but he doesn't respond, and after a while he disappears.
Or people that can be in several at once, like you, Yazhi, but they do it in an unconscious mode.
Yes, and you see that others generate other bodies, even if sometimes they are only semi-physical.
But then there is something failing. Or maybe that person is in a cycle in their life and they don't come out of it. Like the day of the porpoise.
Objective reality fails. It doesn't have well-established boundaries. And it's when something leaks out that people become aware of that.
And what if you could retain one of those individuals? Would he evaporate like the interdimensional beings? Like the Black Panthers of Great Britain?
From what you can see in several cases, they evaporate into nothingness.
Wow, that's crazy. I don't know if there is anything seriously documented about that.
There are some, just a few. In any case, we have documented our cases, as you know.
Could it happen that you extract someone and once on the ship, they disappear?
I don't know. I don't think so, because there would be too much physical contact. It kind of solidifies everything.